All right.
All right. Hello! How are you doing out there in fantasy land? You thought we might be gone because the season's over.
We're not.
But you thought wrong. We're still here. We're still alive and kicking on the fantasy football brawl. My name is Joe Gaither. I'm joined by my superstar co-host, Joe Rosing. Go follow him on Twitter at 72strobro. Get his super smart takes. Follow my man Lucas, Mr. Masters, Mr. DraftKings OG, Lucas Berry. Follow him on Twitter at lberry_40. We've got a great episode planned for you guys tonight. It's there's no more regular season. Your seasons are done.
It's over.
It's done. You won, you lost, whatever. No change in it now. Only you can look at for next year. Or you can play some daily fantasy with us, some weekly fantasy DraftKings. So we're excited. We're going to be here to talk about the Wild Card Weekend. We're going to give a couple end-of-season awards. We're actually going to give a couple game predictions because, it's that time of year. We're going to
It's fun. It's fun,
And we're going to have some fun. It'll be a short episode, so stick with us and have some fun. First off, I'm going to kick it to my co-host. Now that everything is officially done, Joa, how many leagues did you play in? What were your results? Tell the people how you did.
All right, so unlike most fantasy experts and gurus out there, I kept it light this year. Normally I'm in like 7-8 leagues, just trying to, be good, get my stuff, flowing, get, everything good. I was in 3 this year, my 3 main leagues. I won the championship in my 12-man league, 12-man PPR. My team was very good. My team was awesome. Had Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette. This is a beast of a team. And in my other 2 leagues, I failed to make the playoffs in my main money league, I missed it by 1 game. I would have had if Adam Thielen played a snap. 1 game. Decided not to. He was active and decided just not to play a snap. And then in my other 3rd league, it was not a good year. Not a good year, but it is what it is. I have the freaking 10th pick next year. That tells you how bad it was for me.
That's all right. Everybody experiences those years from time to time. Hang on to that championship you won, and we're going to build off that into next year, 2020. It is a new year. Lucas, how's your new year going? And tell the people how your leagues went. How many leagues did you play in, and what were their results?
Yeah, the new year is going well so far. It's only day 1, but we're hoping for a happy, healthy new year filled with success. I'm wishing that for my co-hosts here and for all our followers out there. And my fantasy seasons went well. In my big money league, I placed 2nd. Unfortunately, I got caught the wrong week, the wrong time. I scored a ton of points, but I got caught in Saquon Barkley's best week. He also had Jared Cook, who had a huge week. Phillip Lindsay, Devontae Freeman had his biggest week of the year. So couldn't catch a break there, but 2nd place isn't too bad. In another league, I placed 3rd and just missed out making the championship. The guy I played had an incredible 2-week stretch there on ESPN. And then in my 3rd league, I did not make the playoffs, but I finished in 7th. I was knocking on the door there, so missed out on the last spot. But all in all, I would say a pretty good season. Joe, how about you, man?
Well, I play in 5 leagues, and it was a lot of fun. I played a 12-man PPR league that I ended up winning the championship in. I was very happy about that. My very small family league, there was 6 players this year. It's fluctuated between 6 and 10, depending on the family, the interest. I finished 2nd. My wife whipped my rear end in the championship for her 3rd out of 6 years. Yeah, 3 out of 6 years. That lady has won the championship. So she got the Nutcracker Trophy. Congratulations. I finished 2nd. Yeah, okay. The league that I played in the longest with my friend Darren and Willis and Keon, I finished in 4th place, I believe. I made the playoffs after a rough start, and Keon whipped me in the first round and put me in consolations. That's all right. At my keeper league in Yahoo, I finished in 5th place. I missed the playoffs like Joe by 1 game. So kind of a rough thing. I never could get a real good feel of my team, who to play at the right time. I had a good team, but poor management is a bad theme. And my last league is a dynasty league. I was new to the league. I was taking over a team, and I finished 8th place. I decided about 3 weeks in that I was tanking. I started selling off assets, buying draft picks, and we finished 8th place. We're looking for the long – we're playing the long game in that league.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But it was a great year. It was a blast. It was – I mean, any year I play fantasy is a lot of fun. So, like, and I've had those years, Joe, where you end up finishing the last a lot.
Yeah,
like,
it hurts.
It's just the way those things go. You hold on to the championships, you forget about the bad years, and the championships will carry you through.
Hey, speaking of those dynasty leagues, Joe, I think that we're going to be talking about some of those guys at some point this offseason. Some of the guys coming out in college, some of the guys that are going to be breakout stars next year, some of these second-year players who maybe didn't show enough this year, but next year we're looking at them to, amp up their games to a new level. I know that you're going to be excited for that. I am not in a dynasty league yet, but I am actually thinking about joining one. I have an opportunity that I might be able to join one. And so I know that it's a super fun time, especially you get to watch college and it still pertains to fantasy stuff. And I know that's one of your areas because you love Alabama football. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I don't know, guys. Is it time to talk about StubHub, Lucas?
Yeah, it is. And, it's that time of year. The playoffs are here in the NFL. The NBA season is in full swing. NHL, same thing. It's kicking. It's midway time here. If you need tickets, you need to go to www.thebearsbrawl.com/StubHub to get your tickets. They got a bunch of promotions on there all the time, random promotions on there. So you just got to check it out, get there on the right time. You might catch one of those. But if you're trying to go to the game, if you're trying to see – if you're trying to see the Houston Texans play a home playoff game, you can get your tickets on StubHub. If you're trying to see the Milwaukee Bucks play a home game, StubHub.com. Use our link, support our website, www.thebearsbrawl.com/StubHub.
100.
That's the best place to go. The only place
Honestly.
to get your tickets on the Brawl Network. So, yeah, Joe previewed a little bit of what we're going to talk about in future episodes. We'll have episodes where we're previewing running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks coming out of college and young players. But it's time. We should give some end-of-season awards. And there may be some debates between our two experts about who gets the award or not. And I might break a tie here or two. But let's just kick it right off. The Fantasy Football MVP. There's a lot of good choices out there, probably 2 or 3. Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson kind of stand out to me. You might have a debate there. Michael Thomas was a monster wide receiver. I'm going to give it to the ball man, the Masters man. Lucas, who is your fantasy football MVP? And we'll see if Joe agrees or gives another take.
Yeah, this is so tough for me, especially because I had Michael Thomas on my team. I love that guy. He's a beast. He's one of the most complete receivers I've seen come out in a long time. And I am in a keeper league, and I've had him for the past 3 years now. So I had him before he kind of exploded, and just the growth of that guy has been so amazing. And I love, having him on my team the past 3 years. And unfortunately, he's going to have to go back in that draft pool this year. Probably won't be on my team. Whatever. That being said, my fantasy MVP has to be Christian McCaffrey. This guy's season was absolutely insane.
Insane.
What did I say earlier? He scored 471 fantasy points. He outscored everyone, even the next highest scorer, which was a quarterback, which you would typically see in first place. This guy was everything and more. I mean, this was the best fantasy season I have ever seen in my life.
Probably one of the best fantasy seasons in NFL history. And that's
Ever.
Including all the guys who have played before even the fantasy era began back in the late 90s. I don't know, dude. Jesus, I agree, man. Christian McCaffrey, what a season. I honestly don't even know how else to compliment the things that he did this year on a bad Carolina team that had a quarterback carousel of, I don't know,
Trash.
Cam Newton to start the season. My former dude, Kyle Allen, you suck.
Will Greer.
Will Greer, sucks.
Who came in after Greer? Greer got hurt this week.
Oh, my God. Was that Kyle Allen again?
No, I think he's hurt.
Let me do a Google search. I have no idea.
Dude, what? Okay, and he still did that? I mean, I guess if they have some nice receivers on the outside, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, and as always, former Bear Greg Olsen gets in the mix, but he's getting kind of up there in age at this point in his career. Kind of looks like he's going to be transitioning to broadcasting a little bit. Calls a game every year on his bye week, so I don't know. I honestly, like I said, I don't know how else to compliment this dude. what do you have? 150 more points than any other running back?
Yeah. The next highest scorer was Aaron Jones. I'll give you a number here in a second. Aaron Jones had 314 in PPR to 471. So
that's not fair, dude.
That's
Christian McCaffrey. What an amazing player, and what an amazing fantasy player, most importantly to our show.
So I think we know that there'll probably be some regression next year. This probably definitely isn't repeatable
like,
again.
It's like the Mahomes thing.
Who knows? But
not repeatable.
Still worthy of that first pick overall.
Oh, I don't think if you pick anybody other than Christian McCaffrey first pick overall, unless he tears an ACL in the offseason, you're not very smart. Yeah, like that's how we are here at the Brawl Network. We're gonna tell you like it is. If you pick anybody other than Christian McCaffrey, number 1 overall, no, not smart. Come on, guys. Anybody else?
To answer your question, Joe, it was Kyle Allen made an appearance. He did come back in. He ended up scoring just over 10 fantasy football points. Will Greer, I did not pay attention to the game. I see he's listed at -3 fantasy points. I don't know if that was due to poor play
what a horrible player,
or injury, but he got the hook, and Kyle Allen came into the game.
I thought Kyle Allen was hurt. That's my mistake.
That's all right.
That's
why there's 3 of us.
All Carolina QBs get hurt at some point, you know?
That's all good.
I mean, who we're going to see next year is something that we're going to talk about eventually.
Yeah,
who's that Carolina QB?
They're going to be in line to draft a quarterback, and we'll get into that when our dynasty.
Because that offense is too good to not have like fantasy relevance. Because we're going to have to talk about who's going to be throwing Christian McCaffrey the ball, who's going to be throwing DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and Greg Olsen the ball. I don't know. We're gonna get into that, and it's gonna be resolved this offseason. It still might be Cam Newton; they might keep him, but I know at the next award, it's biggest bust time, guys.
Yeah, so here maybe a couple of guys that you drafted early, and you expected a big season out of them. We'll start this one with Joe, the young guy, and is it Saquon Barkley? Is it David Johnson? Is it Odell Beckham Jr.? Is it Cam Newton when you're expecting him to have a big season out of your quarterback spot and he fails you? Maybe Aaron Rodgers gonna drop the ball as playing quarterback. Joe, I mean, the floor is yours. Who is your pick for biggest bust on this 2019 fantasy football season?
Mine is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. Leading the league in drops is never fun. Publicly telling other teams to come get you, along with your best friend who you tried to get into Cleveland for and with, knowing that you're the quarterback that you will play with is a little suspect at sometimes when it comes to locker room type issues. Odell definitely seemed distracted this year, and it did not help him at all. I don't know, maybe did he have one game that he crossed 100 yards or 0, honestly. His stats this season, especially his fantasy numbers, were just awful. He scored 2 touchdowns all year. A guy that you picked maybe 2 years ago to be that number 1 receiver, that number 1 fantasy receiver, a guy you expect to be a number 1 wide receiver on a team, that dude really messed up this year, really did not have a good year. If I had my theories and thoughts, I feel like he's going to be on a new team next year. I'd say a team that would be very lucky to have him is a team like the Packers, and then he'd just hit up 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns every year. That would not be fun. But this year, with Baker Mayfield, who had a regression from his 27 touchdown passes last year with no Odell Beckham Jr., down to 22, this not fun. Too many interceptions from Baker Mayfield, but Odell Beckham Jr. just leading the league in drops, not having a ton of yards, and scoring only 2 touchdowns all year.
Odell Beckham Jr. cleared 100 yards twice this year. In week 2, he went 161, so that's a pretty nice day. And then in week 6, he went for 101 yards through the air. He was in the end zone 4 times. 4 times over the year, twice in the last 2 weeks. So
okay, so
salvaged his year a little bit, but still not. I mean, many people drafted him top 3 wide receivers off the board, and he did not give it to you. Lucas, do you agree with Odell Beckham being the bust of the year, or you got somebody else as your pick?
Yeah, so Joa, I love that pick of Odell Beckham. personally, I'm just going to go in a different direction here. I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. And honestly, a lot of this is probably out of his control. He got hurt. He missed a few weeks. But for a guy who was the number one pick in fantasy, it doesn't matter if you get hurt or whatever. If you're getting picked that high, you need to produce at a very high level. And he just didn't do that. I've seen so many weeks this year where Saquon was right around that 10-point threshold. And that is just not acceptable for a guy who was picked first overall. In my opinion, huge disappointment. He kind of finished there strong. He had, a huge touchdown run last week versus the Eagles. But again, for a guy who was drafted first overall, you just can't have that. And I don't even want to blame him. I want to say the Giants have so many problems. Their offensive line is terrible. They're going to have a new coach next year. They have a lot of issues.
Quarterback doesn't help him either.
It doesn't help. You've seen a lot of 8-man boxes, but again, if you're drafting someone that high, you just can't have that.
I mean, he's so talented that he was still very good this year. Is even dealing with injuries, but I agree with what you're saying.
I mean, he finished as RB12, so
that's
he
borderline RB1.
He cleared 1,000 yards, but just from where he was drafted standpoint, I would expect him to be nothing less than RB5.
Yeah, and I mean,
honestly, so
that he is definitely a huge bust, and I think that the injuries matter a lot, especially because they were ankle injuries and they really affected his agility. But at the same time, he was a bust, and it sucks to say that. But facing 8-man boxes against Daniel Jones, and facing bad line play and inconsistent quarterback play, especially with turnovers, I think Daniel Jones had 20-something turnovers. I know we've seen quarterbacks thrive with turnovers like Jameis Winston, but at the same time, he's a rookie, and Saquon Barkley, second-year player, couldn't really get it done 100% this year. I agree with your pick, but I just think that Odell, just the amount of talent we know he has and the amount of talent that he has shown over the years is just it's too much for me to say that this awful season that he had was anything other than the biggest bust in fantasy football this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think both these guys are great picks, by the way. It's a tough one. Joe, do you have any insight on what you're thinking here or what you're feeling?
Well, I'm going to blow back on a little bit of this Saquon Barkley talk. Obviously, he was not worth the round one, pick one value. But in championship weeks, man, he brought it. So if you were lucky enough to make it to the championship, having survived his inadequacies, then he really paid off that round one.
He really was like, okay, I got you.
He said, I'm going to make up for the year right here.
He's I'm sorry. It's all good now.
Yeah, and so he, if you were lucky enough to make it that far and still be relevant, then he paid it off. But many people were not. My pick, I like both your picks, but I just have my own little take here. I think David Johnson has to be considered top 3 because the man only went over double digits one time in the back half of the year, and many times was inactive. I mean, he had a little injury issue, but for some reason, he and Cliff Kingsbury just could not get along and get his skill set. He just wasn't out on the field, didn't get touches. They had the Chase Edmonds week, and then they had the Kenyon Drake saga and story. And he's become a forgotten man. And if you drafted him, you likely drafted him in your first round. You drafted him probably in your top 3 running backs, and he was a ghost after about week 5.
Yeah,
it was nothing for you.
What was it, 2016 that he had that insane season? Or was
massive year.
Yeah, and then hurt, this year, hurt, and just plain on just not good. And he looked sluggish. He looked like he ate too much food before every game.
DJ.
Maybe a new scene and scenario. Maybe he and Cliff Kingsbury can have a clean breakup. And
he never really was a guy that was a burner. So
yeah, true.
It's kind of just like one of those things. Like that whole new offensive scheme was a little bit weird of a fit for him. He's a great pass catcher, but like you said, he's just never been a
never been a speed guy.
Yeah, exactly. So that spread offense is just kind of a weird fit for him, I think. So
I think he'd play really well in a situation like the New England Patriots. I think he would just be like Tom Brady's absolute dream, James White, but better. Jeez, Tom Brady would love that. Let's see if Tom Brady reunites with his former backup quarterback, and it's like, hey, I want David. we'll
Let's
give
see.
you a little bit.
Let's see about
this
that.
offseason.
Let's round out this award segment with something, the key to drafting and the key to asset acquisition in fantasy football is basically finding the right value. You don't want to pay too much for a guy. You want to draft a guy at the right value for him. And so I'm going to ask our experts to pick the best value on the football season. Was it DJ Moore finishing around the top 10 for wide receivers? Was it Lamar Jackson being late round draft pick and being really quarterback number one? Or was it a Kenyon Drake? You probably picked him up as a free agent acquisition late in the year. Where was the value for you? I'm struggling to think of a tight end to kind of around. Oh, Darren Waller. You probably got Darren Waller late.
Mark Andrews.
Andrews as well, late as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with best value. Joey, you started the last one. Lucas, who is your best value?
Yeah, so I think for me, Lamar Jackson kind of steals it. At least in my leagues, when we drafted, this guy was being drafted as a QB2 on most guys' teams. He's being drafted as a guy that you would put in there, when your starting quarterback had a bye week, super late in the drafts. Normally last 5 rounds is where I saw him going a lot. And he just absolutely torched the league this year. I mean, he was second overall in total fantasy points, right behind McCaffrey, which puts him at QB1. And if you got him, you probably already had a loaded team and you probably already had a decent quarterback. And then you see this. So, incredible year. And as I said before, most of the time, if you had Jackson on your team, you were in the playoffs, you were competing. He kept you in it every week, no matter what the rest of your team was. So I got to just tip my hat to that guy. He balled out and he exceeded all my expectations. And I give him credit. I was wrong about him. I was very wrong about him. I will own that. A little bit of just a shout out here for value wise. Ryan Tannehill, waiver wire acquisition from week 6 on. This guy was great. He really was great. And I give him that. I couldn't put him above Lamar Jackson, but for the value of a waiver wire pickup, especially in this playoff run, he's played so well the last few weeks. Ryan Tannehill, great job. I love that as a value play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to put Lamar Jackson just because that's the absolute most obvious choice. But I'm going to go with my main man, who I said – I think
Kyle Allen?
No. Cállate. Before the season.
Will Greer.
During the draft, the mock draft that we did.
Yeah, I know who you're going with. Hit him.
There's this dude who I was like, I've seen some reports. I've heard a couple things from my man Usaid. I've heard a couple things and stuff's floating around. And there's some rumors that this man named Chris Godwin out in Tampa Bay would not leave the field this year. And I was like, yeah, let's take him. Let's take him late in this draft.
We didn't listen to you. We wouldn't do it.
Chris Godwin, what did you do this year, man? Finishes the wide receiver 2 behind Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Come on, man. I've said this from week before 1. He is so good. He's been so good all year. He was so good all year. Even getting hurt a couple times, still had the wide receiver 2 season on the year. Who was competing with him besides Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas had a record-breaking year, obviously. But then Chris Godwin next. And what the heck is going on your screen?
Just thought I'd look at something while you're talking. Go ahead. That'll be good for our YouTube listeners.
All right. Well, in case you're listening to the audio version of this on Apple Podcasts, make sure to check us out. Give us a 5-star rating, please. And subscribe. Joe just absolutely just changed his screen looking like a green screen. I was like, what is going on? And, kind of distracted me a little bit. It looks like he's in space right now. But Chris Godwin, man, Lamar Jackson's the obvious pick, but Mike Evans, you're like, oh, that dude's the not contested wide receiver 1. This dude was still freaking amazing this year. But then you throw in Chris Godwin to that mix, and he's insane. And that Bucs offense, it might be a product of the system of Jameis Winston not being afraid to throw absolute bombs deep and, hitting them a little bit of the time. But
If we can win with this guy, we can win with anyone.
Chris Godwin.
Hey Joe,
Bruce
I think you
Arians
actually
knows
get.
what he's doing.
I think you actually get 2 picks here. Obviously Chris Godwin, you can claim that, but you get a second pick here, and he's also a wide receiver. Plays in Jacksonville.
Oh yeah,
which people
his
probably
name is,
drafted late as hell or not at all. Who was it?
yeah. Out of LSU, rookie wide receiver DJ Chark, or second year wide receiver. Yeah, there we go. Oh gosh,
Pretty
that's
much a rookie because he didn't do
showing my
anything
age
last
right
year.
there.
Yeah.
But man, I was like, okay, week 1, everybody was like, oh my gosh, Nick Foles is out. This Jacksonville offense is doomed. And I was like, hold on a second, everybody, because y'all were like, okay, we had that famous hype train segment. That was a fun segment. We should do that again sometime. But you were like, oh no, I'm not punching my ticket on this one. I'm off the train. And what did DJ Chark do? Had an incredible year. Did he finish just outside the top 10 in wide receiver rankings? PPR.
He was
rankings?
wide receiver 17.
Wide receiver 17.
But he missed a few weeks.
Missed
and,
a few weeks, and
he
wide
dealt
receiver
he
too.
dealt with some quarterback carousel there.
Yeah, so definitely mid-tier to top-tier wide receiver 2 in PPR.
I mean, he was a waiver wire pickup essentially.
Yeah,
So
and I was with him since week 1. I've been with him for a long time. Shout out to you. And Lucas, I'm going to give you a second one too. Because
Hold on. I have one thing to say.
What?
You mentioned our mock draft, and I gave you a cookie for drafting Chris Godwin, or you wanted him.
Yeah.
I remember the first round we were saying, who do we want? Do we want Devontae Adams or do we want Julio Jones? And I said, guys, listen, I think this is going to be Julio's year. I think this guy's going to go off. Julio Jones is wide receiver 3 this year. He finished with 1,394 yards, so essentially 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, right behind Chris Godwin. Just give it up. Just say you made a mistake. Devontae Adams was the complete wrong pick there.
Okay, how was I
And
supposed
Julio
to
was
know that
Julio
Aaron Rodgers
was the man.
decided not to throw the ball to him all year?
I broke my one rule as a tiebreaker and picked Devontae Adams. My one rule as fantasy football player, which many people laugh at me, but it's to not draft any Packers. And these 2 guys were debating Julio or Devontae Adams, and I was like, man, I don't need to let my bias show. I need to be Mr. Objective.
Come on, you're
Alabama guy.
retconning right now. You're retconning right now. Come on,
like,
you're
pick the Alabama
fibbing.
guy.
You're fibbing.
I guess I'll break the tie and go Devontae Adams.
Oh my gosh!
All right.
Come on.
So I just want what was coming there.
Props.
I've been waiting all year to get that
was
back.
A round 1. That was a round 1 pick.
And you can't miss on those.
Yeah, you can't blow it.
No, yeah, you can't. But okay, now we have to say, Lucas, I'm gonna give you another one because I got another wide receiver. I got 2 wide receivers, and I think that you have a wide receiver that you were like, this is that dude this year. And you said that really early, and we're gonna give you props for what was his name in Washington got a new
Scary
head coach.
Terry, man.
Scary Terry.
F1.
Yeah. So he kind of had a weird year. Like he even kind of fell off a little bit, but I just think he has so much talent and upside. Like if you have a dynasty league, keep that guy. He's going to be very good in a few years. Once they get, more stable quarterback situation, their offense figured out, I think he's going to be a beast. The talent it just jumps off the tape. He was in my opinion, the best rookie wide receiver this year. And that includes a class of A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. All those guys, I am taking Scary Terry. I think he's that good.
I mean, I think that
I do like A.J. Brown in fantasy next year.
I love A.J. Brown, and he had over 1,000 yards after being basically a no-show for the first 6 weeks of the season. And I think that value is incredible too. So much wide receiver value, so little tight end value this year. But Joe, do you want to talk about these last 2 awards, or are we gonna?
No, that was it. That was it. We had fantasy MVP, biggest bust.
Oh, I added a couple because I wanted to talk about Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah, dude, we had the Nutcracker Award.
Did I?
All right, Joe. What you asked me? You said that earlier. What the hell is the Nutcracker?
Did I miss it?
You said your wife won the Nutcracker the trophy. What is that?
I guess my document didn't update.
Hit the refresh button. Hit the refresh button.
Okay. Well, yeah, our family fantasy league, we don't play with it for a gold trophy. We don't play for, a medal or money or anything. Because, I come from a conservative family, and I really just want the most people to play. And so what we use, we don't gamble any money. I just want, the preacher and his son to play. I just want everybody to be in, all in. We play for a family heirloom that is kind of risque. It is an African American woman who is nude. Basically, it's a wood carving. So it's very traditional African American carving, and she is a nutcracker for functionality. And I'll just let you imagine where she cracks the nuts. And so it is a joke. It is about Yatal. The champion wins it and
Only the South, ladies and gentlemen.
But it's fun. It's a family heirloom. It used to be hidden away for a long, long time because we had young cousins and older uncles and parents didn't want it to be seen because it was kind of a risque joke. And so when I started the Family Fantasy Football League 6 years ago, I thought, we need a trophy. And so I went and I found out who had it, which closet it was buried away in. It was buried deep away, so no one could find it. And I said, I'm going to revive that family heirloom because it was hilarious as a child for me. And it has actually been in our home for 5 of the 6 years. I've won 2 titles. My wife has now won 3, and my cousin James has won 1 as well. So he's had a year with the family heirloom, and ideally it never leaves our house again. It'll just go back and forth on my wife's side of the bed or my side of the bed in certain drawers as basically championship trophies.
All right. Well, I'm hoping Joe's next 2 awards aren't these, but Joe, just please tell us what you have. Don't tell me it's a naked nutcracker or whatever. Just, please. What do you have?
I have the absolute. I'm gonna skip over the most improved award because
no. Who is it?
Hit it quick.
We can all say it's
who
Lamar
is it?
Jackson.
Just say his name.
It's Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Like it's not even fair. Like how much he improved from this season to last season, fantasy wise, and in last season he was still very fantasy eligible and very fantasy viable. But this year with the running game improving, basically had over 1,000 yards and. Threw for over 30 touchdown passes, rushed for a couple. This dude was unstoppable this year. I think that you guys can agree with that one, unless you guys have a different most improved.
No, that's good.
All right, and then one of my favorite awards this year, I have the Absolute Tank Award, and that award goes to Derrick Henry for just being an absolute tank, rushing title, consistent over the past couple of years. It's been like, oh yeah, Derrick Henry, like he's fine. He'll come on second half strong and have a nice second half and be there. He'll be like an RB2. But this year, that dude's going in the top half of the first round next year. So I don't know, guys. Derrick Henry, very, 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 very good when it comes to fantasy this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're absolutely right about Henry being the tank. Next year, though, I will say, buyer beware. This guy he's not going to have 18 touchdowns again. It happened with Kamara. The regression is inevitable. He had so many big runs this year. It's just not sustainable.
He had so many big runs last year,
I am just saying, if I had a top 5 pick where
I'm not taking him top 5.
I think some people might get a little bit, creep into that area.
I'll take him 6th in a 12-man league.
Dude, buyer beware. Touchdowns are not sustainable, and I have learned that.
His yards, though, he had the rushing title this year.
Contract
here's
year.
another thing. Exactly. There's another thing to consider. Contract year. He may or may not even be with the Titans next year.
They have not even started discussions, and they have to extend Tannehill
because they have the policy of not discussing extensions with players during the season. So,
and I have the policy that running backs are replaceable.
All right, man. You can think that. I know that's one of Joe's favorite players in the NFL, Roll Tide. So, I mean, if you guys have another absolute
this year he's a monster.
This year,
that dude,
I'm agreeing.
Like who else was absolute nobody? It's Derrick Henry, but Joe,
Michael Thomas. I mean,
not a tank, but
149 receptions, 1725 yards, 9 touchdowns.
As much as I was hoping
the tank award is more of a feel thing,
Yeah, as much as I was hoping for Jameis Winston to get to 30 interceptions,
he did.
He did.
Oh, dude, he threw it in miraculous fashion. He threw a pick six to end the season.
I was hoping for Michael Thomas to get to 150 receptions. Fortunately, he did not. But we always have the playoffs to watch them do well. And I think that the Saints, we're going to talk about that more later.
Speaking of the playoffs, it's time, boys. It's time.
It's DraftKings time. It's DraftKings time. Yep.
Yeah, it's time to do DraftKings for Wild Card Weekend. Let's get wild here on the Fantasy Football Brawl. Last week, we ended up doing something that we've never done. We like to be innovative and new and fresh. We opened up the competition to all of our listeners. We called it the Big Fish.
And you guys still didn't beat us.
Yeah. Lucas, the DraftKings OG, was the man at the top of the scoreboard this week. Let me just hit a couple of notable because we had 26 players participate, and we appreciate every single one of you who did participate.
We love you guys.
It was
Thank
awesome.
You guys.
You will receive an invite again this week. Please participate at your leisure and at your time. Lucas, you won the Big Fish competition. You beat every son of a gun that came out for your title. You held on to it. You represented the Fantasy Football Brawl well. Lucas Berry scored 162 points to send everyone away losers. Let me just give a couple shout-outs. Brian Quinn from the Tailgate Show, you finished second place for your second time this year with 155 points. Congratulations. Second place, not good enough. Our man, Austin Fugelstaff, Uncle Mike 21 on Twitter, he finished in fifth place at 138. And, of course, our other fantasy expert had to go in the top 10. Joe Rosen went 137, barely missing out on that top 5.
I should have been top 5. Like
barely missing out by a point and a half on the top 5.
If I stuck with my gut and played Derrick Henry and Dak Prescott and Michael Gallup, I would have won. Just saying.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a merry good Christmas.
Man,
G Stilio, the man from the Bears Brawl, he went 9th overall. My friend Jacob from the radio station Todd 109 finished 10th place. My wife finished 12th. Congratulations, the only female that I know.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for coming on.
Exactly. She also beat Mike Brest, the head man at the Brawl Network, went 13th. And of course, myself, I cannot leave myself out. The Shame. Right at 20. Man, awful.
Shame.
I spent all week trying
to Shame.
I spent all week trying to get in the competition only for them to beat me. You
should have focused more on making your lineup, bro.
Usaid, you even beat me. 19th overall for Usaid. And Blake Hainto, the only man to beat the Brawl, unfortunately went 23rd this past week.
How's the weather down there, Blake?
Whew, yeah, it's we'll have to see if everybody can improve. Lucas, you are the head man. You are the king of the hill, the champion. You know, the king of the Brawl.
Congratulations, big man.
Old championship belt, big old medal, and a massive cookie to you.
Yeah, big cookie.
So,
Joe,
yeah, we gotta move it in. Yeah, I was last place out of all of us. That's not good. That's really bad.
Up.
And so here's the lineup that I'm going with for Wild Card Weekend. I'm going to get wild with this weekend.
What do we have? 4 games this weekend?
4 games this weekend.
4 games.
8 teams. The pickings get slim, so it gets a little harder.
They really do.
My quarterback, I'm going with the GOAT, Tom Brady. I'm playing the old man, Frank Gore, going 3 yards at a time for the Hall of Fame. I'm playing the former Bear, the former UAB superstar, Jordan Howard, running back. I'm playing Julian Edelman, Tyler Lockett, and Michael the Tank Thomas at wide receiver. My tight end, I'm going with Jonnu Smith. And at flex, I'm playing Latavius Murray, backup running back for the Saints. And defensively, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills because no one circles the wagons like
the Buffalo Bills.
Joe,
right, I guess
Mr. 7th place.
It's my turn.
Go win that title.
All right, let's be honest. I should have won. I should have been top 5, but I've said that already. So I'm going to read you guys my winning lineup for this week. At quarterback, I got the main man himself, Ryan Tannehill. At running back, I got Derrick Henry. At running back 2, I got Duke Johnson. At running back or wide receiver, I got DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, and N'Keal Harry. At tight end, I have Jonnu Smith. At flex, I have the old man himself who should have gotten the ball on the 1-yard line at the Super Bowl against the Patriots. It's Marshawn Lynch. And at my defense, J.J. Watt has returned. Give me the Texans defense for cheapies.
Wow. Those sound like some good lineups, but mine is even better. At my quarterback, I am going with the man, Tom Brady. My 2 running backs, I am going with the guy I never heard of before, Travis Homer. And my second running back, Sonny Michel. He's due for one of those 3 touchdown performances.
Ooh.
My 3 receivers, I'm going with John Brown, DK Metcalf, and Michael Thomas. At tight end, I am playing Dallas Goedert, who will be playing for the injured Zach Ertz. In my flex, I am going opposite of Tre'Davious White. I am going with Will Fuller. And my defense, I am going with the Seahawks. Hopefully they can cause a few picks here. Let's get it.
Isn't Will Fuller out?
He's questionable. So,
And is Zach Ertz really not going to play?
they said most likely not this week, but they said he probably will return the next week if he does come back.
But they're
It's
not
insane.
going to win.
I don't know, man. This is going to be a tough
Eagles.
game.
Get some Philly magic at home at the link.
Grease those poles.
Trust me, dude. I know all about that.
Did you try to climb one of those grease poles?
I did not go to the parade because I'm not an Eagles fan.
I know, but I mean, like, just in general, you must have been curious, like, why the heck they were greasing poles, and like, did you try? Like, because they still got up there.
I'm not that type of person, Joe. I am
Not that type of person.
I'll sit back on my couch, drink a beer, and watch it on my TV.
Yep, that sounds about right. That's probably the right thing to do.
It's a little safer that way. So, yeah. It's going to be Wild Card Weekend here at the Fantasy Football Pro. We want you to play with us. We got 26 players last week. We want to get to 40. We want to get to 50. Every player's invited. Your brother, your sister, your mother, your daddy, your aunt, your uncle, your wife, your son, your daughter. It doesn't matter. Your mortal enemy.
Your dog.
Yeah. Get your dog a DraftKings account and put him in there. Enter twice.
Yeah.
We don't care. Find that poll. Find the contest at Brawl Fantasy. BRAWLFANTASY. We'll be putting out the link multiple times between now and Saturday. Midday.
It's also on our brand new Facebook account. Our Facebook page just got started. Check us out there if you prefer Facebook. We're going to have some live streams in the future, some videos in the future. We're going to be all over Facebook now. I'm running that thing. Of course.
We're also on YouTube too.
Oh, yeah. Can you guys check out our YouTube channel? Make sure to subscribe and like, and so we get boosted by YouTube's algorithm. I know.
We're just growing here. And
Gen
you can
Z.
grow with us by playing DraftKings with us. Play and prove how smart you are. Unfortunately, Lucas will probably still best us all because he is the DraftKings OG.
We really got to get a DraftKings sponsorship. We got to
That's right. We need to.
Mike, can you get us?
We're trying. We're trying.
Awesome.
We're trying.
We believe in you. I believe in you too. You say it. I believe in you. We rep every week.
Whether we get it or not, we're gonna still be promoting.
Yeah.
We like DraftKings here.
Exactly.
Or like we could switch. Like there's possibility. Like I'm not talking about the other. I'm not gonna name the other one.
FanDuel, Oh yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
We're not gonna name the other one yet. But if they also want to sponsor us, you might see a different name of.
We just like playing daily fantasy. We love playing fantasy with each other and with you. The listeners.
Man. We're gonna next year. For some reason, we were not included into the Brawl Fantasy League.
Oh, we're getting in that next year.
Next year,
we're gonna
joined late.
Win.
Yeah. And it's gonna be us three.
And we're gonna win.
Hell yeah.
And like one dude's gonna be on the waivers, and one dude's gonna be trading, one dude's gonna be drafting, and we're gonna be paying attention all season long. And Austin, we're coming for you. All right.
Oh, speaking of Austin runs a show called the House Hall Brawl.
Oh yeah.
Y'all should check them out if you're a Bears fan. Even if you're not a Bears fan, they're running a contest right now on Twitter. You can predict the playoffs, how you think it's gonna unfold. And if you win, if your bracket is the most accurate, you're going to get some money to our sponsor, Fanatics.
Woo!
Which,
What?
Joe, tell us about our sponsor. But also, Household Brawl, check them out on Twitter. Do the playoff challenge. Follow them. You will get your, you'll get your Fanatics money. But Joe, tell us about Fanatics because we love them here.
Yeah, before I start that, make sure to tell them to tell everybody to play our DraftKings competition this week. Make sure to be pandering them on their tweets, commenting, DM the hosts. Just tell them to play. We need some folks. But Fanatics. I've said that like 4 times at this point. Fanatics is the #1 destination for online memorabilia, gear, team gear, whatever you need. It's not a brick and mortar store, but it has everything you need. College gear. I know it's basketball season in college. I know it's basketball season in the NBA. I know Lucas wants that Joel Embiid jersey. I know he wants that Ben Simmons jersey. I know he wants that
possible soon CJ McCollum jersey. I just heard some wicked rumors lately. Continue.
maybe we should talk to the NBA Brawl about some of that. Maybe we talk about them, but I don't know. Fanatics is the number one place, guys. You already know I say it every week. I talk about it every single week. Fanatics is where I use to get all my gear. I got some gear for my college there. I got some gear for the Leonard Fournette gear. I got some Bears gear there. I'm always on Fanatics. There's student discounts, but if you want to check out Fanatics and support the Brawl Network, which you definitely should be doing, it's www.thebearsbrawl.com/fanatics. Make sure to check that out. Again, that's www.thebearsbrawl.com/fanatics. Make sure to use the discounts that they're offering you. They're always offering you 65, 70% off deals every single day of the week, 24/7. There's always going to be something for you on Fanatics, even if it's like a cheap $10 jersey or shirt or anything. I know that they ship everywhere. You can get it for free. Just kidding. Free shipping, maybe? I don't know. Fanatics is the number one place to go if you want to support the Brawl Network, and especially if you want to buy some gear.
We love Fanatics here at the Fantasy Football Brawl. Let's jump right into Wild Card Weekend. I know nobody's playing any games, but I'm going to have our two experts rank their top 5 in each position. We're going to go pretty quickly because we want to wrap.
I got the QBs. Yeah, I'm already calling it.
We'll just give you both. I mean, there's no need to be.
We'll go through them quick. Well, I got my own.
Give time for each of you there. So Joe is going to. We'll let Joe start with the QBs.
Oh, okay.
The quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, and Carson Wentz. Give me your top 5, Joe.
Okay, so is this fantasy or like
Calendar? Fantasy football.
Okay, fantasy. Like,
if you're
just
playing them on
sure.
DraftKings, and they are all free.
All right, so my number 1 QB this week is going to be Russell Wilson. My number 2 QB this week is going to be Deshaun Watson. My number 3 QB this week is going to be Ryan Tannehill. My number 4 QB this week is going to be Drew Brees. And my number 5 QB this week is going to be Josh Allen.
That's a good list there. And mine is going to be slightly different. My number 1 QB this week is probably going to be Drew Brees. My number 2, I think I'm going to go there with Russell Wilson. My number 3 QB on the week, I am going to go with – this is tough. I feel like part of me wants to go with Carson Wentz. I feel like he could have a good week, but I don't know how he's going to fare in his first playoff game. I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson as my number 3 QB there. My number 4, I'm going to go with Tom Brady just because I feel like he'll have a good week. And my number 5, I'm going to go with Wentz as my number 5.
There you have it. These guys got their own rankings. That's why we have 2 experts. We'd like to give a couple of different perspectives. And we'll move right into the running backs. Now, I listed a lot of running back starters and backups because, many players can pop off. Here are the running backs for the weekend you might be looking at. Devin Singletary, Frank Gore, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde, Derrick Henry, Deion Lewis, Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead, Dalvin Cook, Alex Madison, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Marshawn Lynch, Travis Homer, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, and Boston Scott. Lucas, you went second the last time, but before you do, you mentioned Travis Homer's in your DraftKings lineup. Just give you a little tidbit. He went to the University of Miami. Who are your top 5 this week?
Yeah. So if you're asking me about Travis Homer, I mean, I was just kind of kidding earlier. I do know who he is, but he kind of just came out of nowhere there. You know, he's the 3rd string running back. They signed Marshawn. He still fared
Not
well.
even the 3rd string running back, bro. That's a 4th stringer right there.
Well, what I saw from him the other night, he catches passes. He's explosive. A lot of things you look for out of a fantasy back. Now, he's having a very tough matchup this week versus the Eagles, which very stingy run defense. But, again, volume trumps sometimes the matchup. And that's what I'm going with here. That's why I like him this week. My number 1 this week is probably going to be Derrick Henry. I just think I don't know. The way they beat the Patriots is running the ball. I'm going with Henry as my number 1. My number 2, I'm going to go with the man Dalvin Cook. I think he's just a workhorse. They feed him a lot. Again, volume is going to trump the matchup there. My number 3, I'm probably going to go with Alvin Kamara. Again, volume. He's kind of been up and down this year. They're going to have to rely on him a lot to beat this Vikings team, which we saw last week was a little bit susceptible to run. I know they were playing 3rd-string guys, but we'll see. I like Kamara this week at home. My number 4 on the week, I mentioned him earlier. I'm torn here between Travis Homer and Miles Sanders. If Miles Sanders is fully healthy, I would put him into this slot just because he's going to catch a lot of passes in this game versus this Seahawks defense. And he's done so all year, having over 1,500 scrimmage yards. And then my number 5, I have a tie between Travis Homer and Sonny Michel. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that Michelle's going to find the end zone a couple times.
All right.
We don't like ties here on the Fantasy Football Brawl. Joa, save us here. What are your number 5? Who are your top 5?
All right, my top 5 is here it goes. I got number 1, Derrick Henry. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That dude is super talented and just a tank. Absolute tank award winner. Number 2,
We agree there.
Number 2, I got Dalvin Cook. I think that dude is just insane. I don't think there's any other adjective to describe the way that he's bounced back from that injury, and I think that he'll be good to go this week. And if he is, then expect him to have a great week. Number 3, I got Latavius Murray. I think that it's a Latavius Murray week this week. I think that he always shows up against good defenses, and I don't think it's an Alvin Kamara week. I'm probably
Versus old team, too.
I know, yeah. At number 4, I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I think that if he's fully healthy, he's the dude to watch in Philly. I like Jordan Howard, but Miles Sanders is that guy. And number 5, I am going to go with James White. I think that this is the way that the Patriots are going to get points, and I think it's going to be through James White on a screen pass. So
you have James White, I have Sonny Michel. So it could be a game plan thing. We'll see here.
I don't think it's a Sonny Michel week. That's just me personally.
Michel is fully dependent on the Patriots getting stopped at between the 5 and the goal line and him just pounding it in, honestly. And
He's not good.
But no, listen, I am going off my gut feeling that that's going to happen. I've seen his games where that happens. Yeah. But Joe, there's a guy that hasn't been mentioned that I think is a kind of a sleeper this week. What do you think about Devin Singletary? I mean, he's playing.
I love his 3.6 yards per carry.
He's playing the 27th ranked run defense, though. I think he's a little bit of a sleeper this week.
JJ Watt's back, bro. Just saying.
Up the middle.
Nah, man. JJ Watt lines up anywhere. You put JJ Watt in the middle. You put him on the outside. That dude's a game changer. He's an X factor. I don't think that these Bills running backs have anything this week.
Well, I know Joe put Frank Gore in his lineup. I want to know what that says about what he's thinking about Devin Singletary.
I put him in the lineup because of his price. Really, exactly. He's cheap, and I loaded up a wide receiver, and I was like, I gotta find a little value at running back. He's gonna get obviously he's gonna get some carries, but I put him in largely because of his price on DraftKings.
Okay, that's fair.
Not because he's the better running back or because I think Singletary has definitely the possibility of getting loose there. But my primary motive for putting Frank Gore in there was he was cheaper. Okay,
fair. What do we got for receivers?
Yeah, wide receivers, we got a big list. So, Lucas, you went the last time to get started. Lucas, Joa, you'll give us your top 5 first.
Yeah.
The wide receivers this week, John Brown, Cole Beasley, Andre Roberts, Robert Foster, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Kenny Stills, Kiki Kute, DeAndre Carter, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Tajay Sharp, Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, Mohamed Sanu, Philip Dorsett, Jacoby Myers, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Olabisi Johnson, Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, Ted Ginn Jr., Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Malik Turner, David Moore, Greg Ward, Deontay Burnett, and JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Ugh. Those Eagles wide receivers are awful. Number 1, I don't think there's any question. If it's not Michael Thomas, what are you smoking, dude? Like, dang. Michael Thomas, number 1. Number 1, Michael Thomas. Number 2, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's – I know that Tre'Davious White is on him, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. I can't bet against that dude. Number 3, I'm going to go with where is he? Where are you? DK Metcalf. At number 4, I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. At number 5, I know he's going to be with Gilmore all game. But I'm going with A.J. Brown. I just think he's too hot to not have a nice week this week.
That's a good list. I do have to ask you, is there a specific reason you like Metcalf over Lockett this week?
I haven't trusted Lockett in a long time.
Right.
I don't think that.
Is it
I
because
think
he's a
that.
virgin?
I mean, he had 17 points last week versus the 49ers.
I know. I just. Mm, I know it's against that bad secondary, but I think it's. I think it's a. I think it's because of the fact that they're gonna get stopped in the red zone, in the middle area in the red zone, and that's where DK Metcalf thrives. He thrives with the end zone targets. He scored a ton of touchdowns this year. I think that it's a DK Metcalf week, because of the fact that this Eagles run defense is very good, and they're very good up front. And I think that's what it does is it makes the wide receivers that much more valuable, but that makes DK Metcalf more valuable because he's bigger and he has a higher catch radius than Tyler Lockett does.
Okay, that's fair. That's good
I
analysis.
don't think it's a deep ball week this week for Russell Wilson. And if it is,
I feel like it has to be.
if
That's the way you beat the Eagles.
it's going to. I feel like the guy who's going to get those is a dude who's running fly routes on the sideline, and that's going to be DK Metcalf.
Cool. I like that. I have a kind of similar list. My number one this week is undisputably has to be Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
The guy's just been an absolute monster. I don't know how you can bet against him. My number two, God, this is so shaky. You're right, he's going against Tre'Davious White, but I got to go with Hopkins. I just feel like he's that guy. You can never bet against him. So I'm going to put
we
Hopkins.
got the same one too. Yeah.
I'm going to put Hopkins in there too. This is where I'm going to start to veer off. My number three, I really like John Brown this week for set. Really, really bad Houston secondary.
That's true.
So I'm putting John Brown in my lineup.
Josh Allen misses deep balls though. Is my only concern.
I feel like he's going to be getting open all game. As their number one. We saw it with Perryman when they played them. So I'm putting John Brown there at 3. My number 4 that coming in this week, it's going to be Julian Edelman. I think he's due for a bounce back. I know he's been beat up. I don't know why. I just feel like this is going to be a big Brady to Edelman game. Kind of get back on the thing. You know how Edelman performs in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he's a playoff monster.
I'm expecting a signature Edelman game. And at my number 5, I'm going to go with DK Metcalf as well. I think him and Lockett it's a toss-up. One of them is going to catch a deep ball this week. I don't know which one it'll be. But like you said, I'm going to go with the guy who is more proficient at just running that fly route and just Lockett was so good at that before, but he's been dealing with some injury.
That shin injury is freaking scary, dude.
I'm going to go with Metcalf here. I think he's going to catch a long one. I'm putting him in my top 5.
And the thing is that he can catch a long one, but he can also he also thrives in the red zone because he's had so many end zone targets this year and so many touchdowns. And a lot of them, they do come on the deep ball, but that's where he gets most of his targets. He led the league this year in end zone targets.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
With the tight ends, we'll give it to the big guys. Lots of pretty decent tight ends. A lot of flyer type tight ends, honestly. Lucas, you'll start us off. Your top 5 out of Dawson Knox, Tyler Croft, Darren Fells, Jordan Atkins, Jonnu Smith, Matt Lacoste, Benjamin Watkins, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr., Jared Cook, Jacob Hollister, Luke Wilson, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, and Joshua Perkins.
I'm betting we see Jacob Hollister on this list.
Yeah, I'm a big Hollister guy. So for number 1, I know you say you don't like ties. I'm just going to say an Eagles tight end, whether it's Ertz or Goddard, just because we don't know Ertz's status. I think he's trying to tough it out. Still unknown whether he'll play or not. If Goddard plays, though, I really like him in this matchup. The Seahawks are the 30th ranked pass defense versus tight ends. So I'm going with an Eagles tight end at number 1. My number 2 is going to be Jared Cook. This guy's just been balling lately. Pure and simple. The Vikings, are really good versus tight ends, but Drew Brees has been throwing to his tight ends like a maniac lately, whether it's, Jared Cook or Hill in the red zone, even when Cook got hurt a few weeks ago. So
and a tight end / quarterback / wide receiver / punt returner / kicker / everything.
Well, no, not Taysom Hill. The other Hill.
Josh Hill. Josh Hill and Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
One of the Hills is going to have a good week.
So I'm going with I'm going with Jared Cook there. My number 3 tight end, your man. I'm going with Hollister, like you said.
Yeah.
My 4th tight end, I'm going to go with probably Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph has been balling lately. Great end to the year. I'm going to go with him. And my number 5, I'm going to stick Darren Fells in there. I just think he's been playing really well. This could be a game where he catches a touchdown especially with, Hopkins getting that Tre'Davious White treatment. So,
Yep. All right. For my top 5, I think that the undisputed number 1 tight ends have to be one of the Eagles' tight ends.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing you did.
we don't know if Ertz is playing or not.
Whichever one it is, Carson Wentz loves throwing to them, so it doesn't matter.
Let me ask you guys this, though, real quick. If Ertz does play, which of these guys would you stick in? Would you trust Ertz coming off a lacerated kidney to go in there this week and play well, or are you still sticking Goddard in?
I'm sticking Goddard in.
I'm with you. I'm not trusting that.
That kidney is nothing to play with.
All right, cool. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to clarify that for people. So, all right, cool. Eagles tight ends, number 2.
Eagles tight ends, number 2. I am going with Jared Cook. I think that he's just so consistent over the past couple of weeks. I don't see it fading. Number 3, I'm going to actually very much surprise myself. I'm going to go with Dawson Knox. I think that he's shown a ton of chemistry with Josh Allen. And I think that he's one of those rare tight ends that can go up and get the deep ball. And number 4, I'm going to go with Irv Smith Jr. He's a smaller tight end, but that means he's faster. But he still beats linebackers the same way. And I think that he's a very nice complement to the wide receivers on the outside. He's kind of like a third, good wide receiver. I don't know. I think that he's going to be good this week. And my number 5 is going to be this is tough. I'm going to go – it's got to be Darren Fells. I think that makes the most sense. I don't know if I like Jacob Hollister this week because I don't think he's been consistent enough for me to say that Darren Fells is not going to be the guy that gets in the end zone for the Texans.
All right, Joe, stay on your feet, stay on your toes. We'll go right straight to the defense.
Bills,
Texans,
3
Titans.
Or 5?
Go 3. Everybody knows who's playing.
Yeah.
Bills, Texans, Titans, Patriots, Vikings, Saints, Seahawks, and Eagles. Give us your top 3.
All right, my top defense this week is going to be I'm going to go with this is really hard. I'm probably going to go with this Titans defense, number 1.
Wow.
It's really hard to bet against Brady in the playoffs, but man, there's something wrong with him. It's been bad. It's been very, very bad over the past couple of weeks. And it's been bad pretty much this entire season for Brady. He's been a below average quarterback this year, which is very, very weird to say because it's the GOAT. So I think this Titans defense, Malcolm Butler against his former team, Kevin Byard, that's nasty, dude. They're very good. I think that Mike Vrabel has something. He's got something cooking. He's a former Patriot himself. He caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl as a linebacker. He's got something cooking. Something's cooking. These Titans are going to shock the world, man. They're good. They're very good. My number 2 defense is going to be the Texans defense. I just don't trust the Bills offense. I know that there's this big play potential that they have, especially with John Brown and Josh Allen's arm. But J.J. Watt coming back, I know that secondary is trash. I don't know if they can – I just don't think it's going to be a Bills week this week. I think the Texans have it locked down. And my 3rd defense this week is going to be the Seahawks defense. I think that they lock down those wide receivers, and I think that the only way that the Eagles are going to get any points is through the ground and through the tight ends. And if it's only one tight end, Bobby Wagner is Bobby Wagner for a reason, and I think that that's what I got cooking up here.
That's a great list, Joe. I'm going to go a little bit different direction. I think really the defenses are kind of a toss-up. Like you could make an argument for any of these defenses being, having a great week. Like this is playoff week. No team's really going to get blown out, I don't think. So we're going to have some close games. My number 1 is going to be the Saints. I just think that the Vikings have shown that they can be beaten pretty bad before. We've seen it early in the year where they were dominated by the Bears. I think this is just going to be a home performance by the Saints and a classic Kirk Cousins choke job in round 1. I'm sorry, Vikings fans. I think the Saints will do it to you.
Oof.
Second, I'm going with New England. They've been so good all year. It's not going to stop now. It's playoff time. They just got humiliated by the Dolphins. They're not going to let the Titans go in there and beat them. I think they might make Ryan Tannehill kind of look like a wide receiver again. We'll see. It could be a good game. The Titans could upset them. This could
Titans
be
gonna win, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm going with my gut. I like New England in this game. I'm going with the defense. My number 3, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Last time they played the Eagles, they had 5 turnovers in that game. This is kind of the same Eagles roster they played before. I think this will be a dogfight, but it's going to come down to that, who turns the ball over less. And I think Russell Wilson isn't that guy. So I'm going to go with the Eagles offense to turn it over a few times and put the Seahawks defense in that top 3 category.
Sounds good.
Well, it's not fantasy football unless you remember the guys who kick the football. 8 kickers, we'll keep it at top 3 as well because they're
do
hardly.
This one quickly.
Yeah, Stephen Hauschka, Kami Fairbairn. Somebody help me with that. Greg Joseph, Kaimi. Thank you. Kaimi Fairbairn, Greg Joseph, Nick Folk, Dan Bailey, Will Lutz, Jason Myers, and Jake Elliott. Lucas, your top 3.
Will Lutz is my number 1. High flying Saints-O.
Dome.
A lot of points. My number 2 is probably – I have a feeling it's going to be a big Jake Elliott week. I'm going to throw him in there. And my number 3, I might stick in the same game. The Vikings kickers, Dan Bailey, I'm going to go with him.
All right, my top 3, Will Lutz, Jake Elliott, and Jason Myers.
So we're thinking that Eagles game is a kick fest.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, there you have it on our experts' rankings for the Wild Card Weekend, but it wouldn't be Wild Card Weekend if we didn't get some predictions for the games.
Yeah.
Lucas, you started the last one, so Joey, you're up first. Bills versus Texans. The Texans are a 3-point favorite at home. Joey, who you got?
I got the Texans. I got the Texans on a score of – I'm going to go with 31-13.
Boom,
I think it's
blowout.
a blowout. I think this Texans offense is spectacular. I don't think that they need one of the top.
There's no way they score 31 points on the Bills. No shot.
Dude, I'm telling you.
There's no shot they score over 24.
Right, we'll keep an eye on that. Lucas, who you got?
Do you want a score prediction too or just a win?
If you'd like, if you feel confident. You don't have to.
All right. I'm going to go with the Bills. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I'm going to say the Bills win this one 24-17.
I agree with Lucas's assessment. The Bills will win a low-scoring, ugly game. Titans and the Patriots. The Titans are going on the road to New England. The Patriots are a 5-point favorite late on Saturday night. Lucas, who you got?
I got New England here. Again, I think this will probably be a low-scoring game. Both defenses are really good. Titans like to run the ball. I'm going with Patriots. I'm going to say something of the nature of like 27-21.
I
got Titans 24-21.
Very tough. I think, God, my heart wants the Titans to win, but you can't bet against Tom Brady, even though everything in me says that the Titans should win.
Mike Vrabel knows Tom Brady.
I'll go Patriots, but I'll go Titans cover. So Sunday afternoon, 12 o'clock Central Time, the Vikings are going down to New Orleans to play the Saints. The Saints are a 7.5-point favorite. Joa, who you got?
Rightfully, the Saints are going to win by a score of 31-21.
Joa, I was about to say the same exact thing. I'm going to go Saints win 31-24, though. I'm going to say the Vikings kick, just a garbage, they score some kind of garbage point that gives them, that last-minute cover.
I think that Kirk will have Kirk will have 2 touchdown passes, but will also have 2 interceptions.
So 31-24.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with both of y'all, but I'll agree with Joa that the Saints will cover. And lastly, Sunday afternoon, the Seahawks are going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. The Seahawks actually are a 1.5-point road favorite. Lucas, this game's in your backyard. Who wins and what's the score?
I'm going to say Seattle wins this one. I'm going to say 21-20.
Oof.
I'm going to say this is going to be an ugly
Bro,
game.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I got Seattle. I'm going to make it different just for the sake of it.
21-17.
I got Seattle 24-20.
Well, that changes the money entirely, Joe. But just for the sake of being different, I'll take the Eagles and the cover.
Joe, it's so bad.
This game
they went 8-8. For
This
a
game is so
reason.
hard to predict, man.
I think
The Seahawks beat the 49ers.
I think you can flip a coin in that one. I can easily see the Seahawks winning. Definitely. I'm just going the other way just for the sake of difference here on the podcast there. I can definitely
If you're wrong, you're wearing the dunce cap, dude.
Hey,
All
that's
right.
fine. I'll wear it proudly. That's something
Who is the highest scoring fantasy player this week?
This week? Oh, that's a great question.
Sonny Michelle.
I'll go Michael Thomas.
No.
That's just my pick.
I'm
Thomas.
going Derrick Henry. He's gonna have 2 tutties.
See, I don't think so. I'm gonna go Michael Thomas as well.
All right, we'll see about that. It was a great episode tonight, and we appreciate y'all sticking with us and joining us on the Fantasy Football Brawl. We gave you a lot of awards and a lot of picks for who.
We always say this is going to be a short episode, dude. We talk forever.
We always say it, but time flies when you're having fun. We like each other. We've become good friends, and this has been a fun podcast all year. So
we're going to keep it going.
Absolutely.
We're having fun,
We'll go through the playoffs kind of doing the same sort of style, and then once the Super Bowl hits, we'll just do like a head-to-head showdown.
XFL.
I'm not going on the XFL. That'll be time for Dynasty talk. After the Super Bowl hits, we'll hit the Dynasty and see what the draft holds.
We'll have some draft experts on, too.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that. Follow everybody on Twitter. The podcast itself is at Brawl Fantasy. You'll find our DraftKings link there, and you'll be able to play with us and show us how smart you are. Lucas, the DraftKings OG, is on Twitter at @LBerry_40. Joe Rosing is on Twitter at 72strobro. He's the man running the Facebook account and heading back to school this week. Lucas, or Joe, excuse me, best of luck to you moving in.
Thanks, man.
For your new quarter there. I'm Joe Gaither on Twitter at JoeGaither6. Follow us on Facebook now. It's the same title, Fantasy Football Brawl. We'd love to have you share and like us on Facebook. And follow us on our YouTube, and we will soon have an Instagram. We're getting on all the platforms. We're growing here. Find us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. Leave us a rating. Tell us how smart or funny or stupid we are. We love comments to make us a little bit better.
We know we're stupid.
Yeah,
please point it out.
We just like having some fun and enjoying each other, enjoying some fantasy football. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. It was a great week, and we hope you all have a great and happy new year in your own lives.
Peace.
Peace.